Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seahawk Recap Show, Seahawk Game Recap for Monday Night Football, the first primetime game for the Seahawks this season. And how are we feeling, 12s? I said last video I wanted to go into MetLife and get this dominant win. I wanted to dominate, and the Seahawks delivered, dominating 24-3, only allowing 3 points on defense. That is amazing. Going into the bye week, we are 3-1. We lost the home opener and haven't lost a game since. That's three in a row. That is insane. Insane. So good job, guys. I really like that. But how we all feeling? I know Giants fans, you're probably not feeling too great, and we'll get into your team's performance a little bit later. But without further ado, let's get into recapping this week 4 matchup, Giants versus Seahawks. We've got the game summary, 24-3. Seahawks win on the road. And let's start off with the Giants because they are the home team. They had 248 yards total, 136 passing yards, 112 yards rushing, 3.4 yards per play, 17 first downs. They went 6 for 16 on third down efficiency, 2 for 4 on fourth down efficiency. They had 74 total plays, 11 sacks allowed, 5 punts, and they had 6 penalties for 45 yards, 1 fumble, lost 2 interceptions thrown, 1 to Quandre Diggs, and 1 for a pick six on Devin Witherspoon, who was playing in the slot this game, but they had 36 minutes of possession time. On the other side of the ball, the Seahawks, they had 281 total yards, 160 passing yards, 121 rushing yards. They had 5.5 yards per play, 13 first downs. They went 3 for 12 on third down efficiency. That needs to be improved. I don't like they have so much problem with third down. I don't understand what it is this season, but they need to be better on that. They went 0 for 2 on fourth down, and they had 51 total plays, 2 sacks allowed with a makeshift offensive line. So again, the offensive line is getting better. It's good to see that even with all the injuries to the offensive line, they're still putting in work. They had 4 punts, and they had 8 penalties for 74 yards. In this game, I know when I was watching it, it seemed a lot more heated and a lot of emotion and all that. So it was just very weird for me. I don't know if there's a little bit of a rivalry going on between these two, but it just seemed a lot more sloppy with some of the penalties. So I hope they can bring that a little bit down and not cost so much yardage. And they had 0 fumbles, 0 interceptions for 24 minutes of possession time. Let's talk about Ryan's focus player, shall we? Let's talk about Geno Smith. So he did have a hit from Isaiah Simmons, and I will get into that later, but he missed one drive during this entire game, but came back, thankfully, unbothered. So he went 13 for 20 on the game with 110 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 DK Metcalf, and no interceptions. Now, let's talk about the running back and let's talk about Kenneth Walker. I love Kenneth Walker. I will always love Kenneth Walker. He's just so reliable in his first couple seasons with us. He's starting to become a really reliable back, and for Seattle, that's what we need. So he carried the ball 17 times, had 79 yards, 4.6 yards per carry, and 1 touchdown. Good for him. And Tyler Lockett, man. Speaking of reliable, and it's really nice to see Tyler Lockett with 4 receptions, 54 yards, 13.5 yards per reception, and 0 touchdowns. On the Giants side of things, we talk about Daniel Jones. He went 27 for 34, had 203 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And man, you really can't, I don't think you can blame Daniel Jones for, you know, trying to play a little bit of hero ball because he's trying to get his team back into it, but they're just stifling. And here's what I mean by stifling. I put him in the running back spot because he basically was a running back. Daniel Jones, 10 carries, 66 yards, averaged 6.6 yards per carry, and no touchdowns. Matt Breida was the actual running back. They had no Saquon Barkley for this game, so Matt Breida was the actual running back. He ran like 14 times, had 40 yards for like 2.1 yards per carry. So Daniel Jones was doing literally almost everything on that offense and trying to do things, but the Seahawks defense really came to play. And I don't think you should be blaming Daniel Jones for this bad of a stat line when he has to do literally everything on offense. Let's talk about the wide receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson. I've really liked this guy. I never paid attention much to Giants football, but every time I see this guy play, it's really nice to see. He had 5 receptions for 40 yards, averaged 8 yards per reception, and had 0 touchdowns. But he really has done quite decently for the Giants, and I hope that continues. But speaking of defense and Daniel Jones having to do everything, let's talk about the Seahawks for a minute. Mario Edwards Jr. had 2 solo tackles, 1 assisted tackle, 1 sack, which caused a forced fumble. So a lot of this was offensive line based. For this defensive line, we were just tearing through. There was so much pressure on Daniel Jones to get the ball out. And yes, his decision making sometimes with holding on the ball a little too long is a bit of a problem, which I'm betting Brian Dable, the head coach, will rectify. But man, this offensive line for the Giants and the defensive line for the Seahawks really feasted. So it was nice to see. And Mario Edwards, man, causing the fumble, forcing the fumble. Great to see that pass rush really doing well with 11 sacks on the game. But let's talk about the standout. Okay. So if you realized on my shorts, I said Artie Burns and I said also Kobe Bryant were out for this game. So that forced Devin Witherspoon, our rookie, in the slot. And man, I don't know what's going to happen, but I really like Devin Witherspoon in the slot. I want to keep him there at all costs. Keep him there. I don't know who they would need to switch out, but I want him in the slot from now on because he had a monster of a game. 6 solo tackles, 1 assisted tackle, 2 sacks. And for the first time ever, he gets an interception, and it's a pick 6 for Devin Witherspoon. I think it was 97 yards. So exceptional from the 5th overall pick. Great to see him out of Illinois doing this and playing well. And he never played in the slot at Illinois, so it's really nice to see him adapt. And again, when I said he reminds me of Richard Sherman with his aggressiveness, man, he knows how to hit. So it's really nice to see. But let's talk about a guy that I've talked about multiple times in games, and this is the reason why, Bobby Wagner. And I sound like a broken record, but look at this. The standout on that middle linebacker core, especially in the tackling department, is always going to be Bobby Wagner. 9 solo tackles, 8 assisted, 2 sacks, no interceptions. On the other side of the ball, we've got D lineman Dexter Lawrence II. D tackle, very good D tackle, had 2 solo tackles, 1 assisted tackles, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. And with this makeshift offensive line in Anthony Bradford, he went in for Damian Lewis when he was injured. You got the 2 new tackles in Stone Forsythe and Ryan Curhan that did half decently. And it's insane to me. It's insane to me that these guys, Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, didn't get in for more pressures. And this offensive line, man, only allowed 2 sacks. So it's just insane to me that they didn't get more pressure. And I think this is why the Giants lost the game. But I digress. Let's talk about corner Dion Banks. He had 4 solo tackles, 1 assisted tackle, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. But he was very good in this game. For a guy that I had no idea who he was, he was exceptional, man, making tackles. He broke up a couple passes. He made us turnover on downs at least once in the red zone where we could have taken the points, but we decided to go for it on 4th and 1, and he broke up that pass to, I believe, Zach Charbonnet. But let's talk about linebacker Kayvon Thibodeau. And when he went to the Giants a little bit back over the last couple of years, he's just been a beast. At linebacker, he's been a beast, and he's been a solid pass rusher. 2 solo tackles, which ended up in 2 sacks. The only 2 sacks of this Giants defense. And man, you can't say that Kayvon Thibodeau didn't do his job because he tried, but he was just getting no real support from the entire defense. Let's move on to my final thoughts. And what went well? Well, that's 3 in a row, Seahawks. I'm so happy about this performance from the whole Seahawks team. The defense only allowed 3 points, and having 11 sacks on the game is just exceptional. Also, it's on the road. So brilliant. Brilliant, guys. I'm so happy with this. We're going 3-1 into the break where we've got a bye week. You deserve it. Rest up because we need it, man. With all the injuries we've had, with all the questionable injuries we've had with like Will Disley and Noah Fant and others, we need this bye week and it cannot come at a better time. And again, like I said, the offensive line. Kudos to them for only giving up 2 sacks because, man, that's some mix and match kind of thing that we have to do with the offensive line until we get Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross back. So good on you guys to try to keep the pocket as clean as possible. But what to improve on? The only thing that I can say has been a negative from this game was just trying to keep the emotions in check. Um, Geno Smith in particular was so angry at Isaiah Simmons that he talked to Xavier McKinney, and it got a little heated and a little shove and a little push. And not only did Geno Smith cost us a drive because he threw the ball and then taunted at the Giants sideline, and he was really mad at the hit and he taunted, and that got him an unsportsmanlike penalty, which then cost us a drive, which made us have a bad time on that drive. But again, just keeping the emotions in check. I know that hit was kind of dirty. It did need to happen. It should have been called unnecessary roughness on Isaiah Simmons, possibly, but just try to keep yourself level headed. I know it's an emotional game. I know it's football. I know what you're fighting for, but we need to keep the penalties down because we were really sloppy on the penalty front. Both teams really were. There were like several times there where the ref had to stop the play because he couldn't figure out what penalties there were on the play. And there were penalties from both sides. So just try to keep the emotions in check for the next game. But all in all, performance by the Seahawks and the rest of the boys was great. We deserve this. We deserve this, guys. That's how you dominate. Good on you guys. And I'm so excited to go into the Bengals in week 6 because we're going to have so much fun with the Bengals because the Bengals are struggling. If we can get them to 1-4 and improve to 4-1 and keep on building and keep on building, we'll be a playoff team by the time that we can look at it and go, oh, we're in the playoffs now. Like, just keep on building this because this has been exceptionally great. And another thing for Giants fans, okay? I know that was a pretty bad game. I understand that. You guys are some of the most loyal fans in the NFL. To put up with the amount of torment that you guys have put up for, ever since Eli Manning left, to show your resilience, you guys, I hope the Giants fix this little bit of a rut they're in. Because, again, the offensive line has been not that great. The defense needs to get better. There's a lot of things you guys need to improve on, but I hope the rest of the season gets better for you guys because I honestly really like you guys. I think you guys are building a nice little culture there with Brian Dable, but you need to now get execution a little bit better. But I wish you guys all the best in your season and the rest of this season. But anyways, that has been Ryan Koki for the Seahawks game recap, week number 4, Giants versus Seahawks. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider leaving a like. Please consider subscribing if you really liked it, and tell all your friends, either whether they're Seahawks fans or just football fans in general. I will be here recapping every game from the 2023-2024 season for the Seahawks. So if you like it, stick around. Anyways, this has been Ryan Koki of the Seahawks Recap Show, signing off. Go Hawks, go! And let's get ready for Week 6 versus the Cincinnati Bengals.